we'll be discussing about entrepreneurship. So I think you have a fair idea about what entrepreneurship is all about. So now we see one or two definitions because I'll be not dealing much with that. So I'll be taking mm, further topics in entrepreneurship. The concept of entrepreneurship has a wide range of meaning. One of the on the one extreme, entrepreneur is a person of a very high aptitude to pioneer such things. See, basically, one thing we need to understand is that who is an entrepreneur? See, entrepreneur is a person who has a dream, who brings in resources to start a new venture. Now, the venture might be related to product or a service. An entrepreneur must be a visionary. When I say visionary, he should have a dream about his business for today, for tomorrow, and also for the future. Why we use the word aptitude is because entrepreneurship is all about calculation. When I say calculation, with respect to time, with respect to money, with respect to uh, hello, with respect to time, with respect to money, and he is a person who brings about a change, who brings about a change. So, what kind of change is also very important. So, here, what is very important is that a very high aptitude who pioneers change. On the other extreme of definition, anyone who wants to work for himself or herself is considered to be an entrepreneur. See, what we can understand is that an entrepreneur is a person who brings about his ideas, who has a high aptitude, and who wants to either start with a product or a service. Anyone who wants to work for himself or herself is considered an entrepreneur. The word entrepreneur originated from the French word interpret, which means to undertake. See, an entrepreneur is a person who basically who takes the initiative of starting the business, whether it might be related to product or whether it might be related to the service. In a business context, it means to start a business. So, in simple, it means to start a business with respect to a product or with respect to a service. The Merriam-Webster dictionary presents the definition of entrepreneur as the one who organizes, manages, and assumes the risk of a business enterprise. See, here we need to understand the basic concepts of management, which you have already, you might have studied, that planning, organizing, staffing, directing, controlling, and all these things. And what is very important to start a business is land, labor, capital, and bringing all these things together and starting the business. So there must be a judicious mix of all the resources together in order to start a business. So basically, an entrepreneur, what you have to keep in mind is a person who takes the risk of starting a business. See, why do we say it as a risk? See, because the market is uncertain. There are financial risks. There are so many risks that are involved. So, entrepreneur is a person who takes the risk. So, he takes calculated risk. So, that is also very important point to be noted. It is not only taking the risk that is important, but also calculated risk that is also very important. Now, the biggest challenge faced by organization is to get the work done by their employees. So this entirely depends upon the motivational level of the employees. See, one thing that we need to understand here is The simple definition of management is getting things done. See, Mary Parker Follett had given the definition is that it is getting things done through others. So we have various employees working in the organization. We have different departments, marketing, finance, HR, production. So everywhere there are some activity or other that needs to be carried out. So the management is all about getting things done by the right person at the right time at the right place. So getting the work done is merely not an important thing, but what is also very important is the employees must be motivated. If the employees are not motivated in the work, it becomes highly difficult for us to get the work done. So the concept of motivation plays a very important role. Their motivation is a result of their need and organizational expectation. So motivation, though the concept looks very simple, but the dynamics behind that concept is very complex. Why I say the dynamics behind it is very complex is because motivational is a very subjective matter. See, when I say it is subjective, motivation means different things to different people. Say, for example, a young person who has started his job now, the motivation may be money because for him the motivation right now is the money and for example an employee at the age of 40, 45. So for him the motivation might be a higher level in the salary, or you can put it as the promotion or the career growth within the organization. For some employees it may be job redesign, that this and all. So motivation is a very subjective opinion, and motivation is not an objective opinion. So keeping this in mind, so that is why motivation means different things to different people, or rather the employees working in an organization. So motivation is not the one size fits all concept. If the employees are adequately motivated, the organization will be able to meet its employees. So today, if we take up any successful organization, whether it is in India or throughout the world, an organization is successful only because of the motivated employees. So it is the employees who make the organization very successful or the market leader, because the employees are the real asset of the organization. See, the other resources may be copied, like the infrastructure, the machinery, the layout, everything can be copied. So one thing that cannot be copied is the human resource. So the human resource makes an organization very, very, very unique. So this uniqueness has to be capitalized. So one of the way of capitalizing this uniqueness is about the employee motivation. The more you take care about your employee, they will take care about the organization. So positive motivation is very important. See, more if an employees are non-motivated very well, so that also has a negative impact on the organization. So motivation plays a very important role across the level of organization. If an organization fails to uh, uh, keep a proper motivational tools and techniques, so then that will have a negative impact. So now here we are speaking entrepreneurship with respect to motivation. That was the topic that is assigned to me. So now, of course, as an entrepreneur, he needs motivation. As an entrepreneur, he needs to motivate. So this motivation is a very important concept, because if an entrepreneur himself is not motivated, so that means to say his zeal is not up to the mark. So then there is a very uh, chances of the business failing. So the motivation one from the entrepreneur himself, that is self motivation, and motivating others through his leadership style is also very important. So the term motivation is derived from the Latin word mover, which means to move. Yes. See, what is motivation? See, motivation is either see, when we talk about motivation, see, there are two. things which we need to understand. One is a physiological motivation, another one is a psychological motivation. So now what is physiological? So what is psychological? See, physiological are the bodily needs. So that is also a motivation. Say I'm hungry, the motive is to have food. Then I move to have food. If I am thirsty, if I am sleepy. So that means that is physiological, physical, needed by the body. And most of the motivation are psychological, and also there is a very close nexus between the psychological and the physiological motivation. So psychological motivation plays a very important role. Um, a motive is an inner state that encourages, activates, or moves that direct behavior towards a goal. See, it is an inner state of encouragement. See, when we talk about motivation, as I said earlier, it is a very subjective opinion. So, what motivates person A might not motivate the person B. So, what motivates person B may not motivate person C. So, each employees are what do you say, unique in his characteristics and all other traits. So, what we have to do is, so motivation uh, uh, is an inner state that encourages, activate, or moves that direct behavior towards the goal. So that is motivation means moving in the right direction. So motivation is what drives a person towards a goal. So thus motivation is a psychological force within an individual. Yes, what I was talking about, physiological and psychological. Say a person who is very tired might, what do you say, taking a rest might be a motivation. An employee who was in a, say, who was in a production department faced immense stress over a period of time. See, for him, a change of job itself is a motivation. So, job rotation might be a motivation. See, see, that is why I said motivation is a very subjective opinion. See, even a job rotation is also a kind of motivation because a person develops, I mean, monotony. Monotony means he develops boredom doing the same job. The stress level gets in. He develops burnout. See, all these issues are there when we talk about motivation. So even what we have to talk about when we talk about motivation, also we talk about monetary and non-monetary motivation. See, monetary means money, non-monetary means apart from money. So, which is money is worth, but not direct money. Say, for example, a job rotation, a job enlargement, a job enrichment. See, all these is also very important factors that contribute to motivation. So motivation is a psychological force. Yes. So where does the thought originate? It originates in the mind. This motivation is more concerned with the psychological aspect of the human being within an individual that sets him to set him in the motion for achievement of certain goals or satisfaction of certain needs. Of course, organizational goals are there, personal goals are there, um, so societal goals are there. So there are various types of motivation which will be driving a person towards different aspects of life. So now we'll see a couple of definitions. So according to Robert Dublin, motivation is a complex set of forces starting and keeping a person at work in an organization. See here, what we need to understand. Here, they have used the word complex. So motivation is not that easy as we talk. Just give him some money, he will do an extraordinary work. No. So the psychological aspect of motivation, one aspect may be the money. See, another aspect may be reward and recognition. See, that also plays a very important role. So that is why what I am trying to tell is that motivation is a very subjective opinion. Uh, it is an individual concept, so we cannot have a one size fits all motivation approach to every employee in an organization. So that is why we have termed it as a very complex process. So according to Stanley Vance, motivation represents an unsatisfied need. See, most of the motivation. See, if I am satisfied with certain aspect of my life, see, that will not motivate me any further to do it. So what causes motivation is the unsatisfied part of the human consciousness. See, unsatisfied part may be many things. See, for example, one person not satisfied with the money, so money might be a motivating. Another employee may not be satisfied with recognition. Giving recognition may be his motivation. For another person, mm, promotion, giving a promotion might be a motivation. For another person, see, like that, it depends upon one individual to another individual. So basically, what we can say, see, why does a person get motivated? Because it is the unsatisfied need. See, for a satisfied need, that's a different discussion altogether. But what we are talking here is all about the unsatisfied need, which creates a state of tension or disequilibrium. Say, suppose at lunchtime, for some reason, I am not able to have lunch on time. Say, 1 o'clock is the lunchtime. For some reason, the meeting get extended or something happens. It is till 2:30. I am not in a position to have my lunch. So then what happens? There is a tension that creates. So there are so many psychological aspect in the human body which creates tension and disequilibrium. So there is no proper coordination between the body and the mind, causing an individual to march in a goal-directed pattern. In this example, having a food is the goal-directed pattern towards restoring a state of equilibrium by satisfying the need. So once he has the food, the tension reduces, he comes back to the equilibrium state. So equilibrium state means it is a balanced state of body and mind. So that is why we say it as equilibrium. So these two definitions, I think I have clarified. So next, what are the characteristics of motivation? See, when we talk about motivation, character. The psychological process. See, the first characteristic is psychological process. So, what is the psychological process? So, motivation is cycle. It is the process by achieve a desired result by stimulating and influencing the behavior of the subordinate. See, why do we keep on repeating the term psychological? Because all needs arise in the mind and all needs get satisfied in the mind. See, if the mind is satisfied, anything is possible. If the mind is unsatisfied, nothing is possible. Mm. So that is why what we are discussing here, what I'm trying to tell is that it is a psychological process. So this concept of motivation is purely psychological in process. It is a process to achieve desired result. Of course, we need to achieve certain results at personal level, professional level. All these things are there by stimulating and influencing the behavior. See how motivation happens is by the behavioral change. The behavioral change. Say, other day I was talking about the classical conditioning theory about learning. See, I was talking about the stimulus response model. So, the SR model, which was given by Ian Pavlov. So, where he did an experiment with the dog. So, where initially he rang the bell and did not give the meat, nothing happened. So, repeatedly he rang the bell and he gave the meat. He rang the bell, he gave the meat. So now it becomes a motive for the dog. Whenever there is a ringing of the bell, I will get the meat. So something like this. So for a motivation, there should be a stimulus and response. So this stimulus and response plays a very important role. So there must be a stimulus, there will be a response. See, for a motivation to happen, there must be a stimulus. Say an employee believes that if he does a good job in the organization, he will get some XYZ reward. So if that is there, definitely it will work. Behavior of the subordinate. A manager should carefully make an attempt to understand the needs, motive, and desire of every employee in the organization. See, that is why. See, why do we use the word every employee? So, as I said earlier, motivation is a very subjective opinion. It is a very subjective matter. It is a psychological process, and each employee is unique in his nature and his characteristics. So when we say each employee is unique in his nature, so motivation style also has to be customized. It is not like everybody will apply a common tool of motivation to everybody. See, it may work initially, but it may not work in the long run. So motivation has to be customized as per the requirement of the individual, taking into account a lot of things into account. The reason for this is each person is different, and same kind of motivation technique does not apply to all kind of the same thing I was saying. Second one is it is a continuous process. So motivation is like something I can compare it like having a food. See, today I had food. It is not like that. Tomorrow I shouldn't have food. So for a bodily energy, I need food. So likewise, I need motivation. So motivation must be a continuous process. So it cannot be like once we motivated our employee, it will take care of the entire year. It is not like that. So it is a continuous process. When one need is satisfied, another need emerges. So in economics, we study that human wants are unlimited. So the wants keep on multiplying. See, at different age group, now for the same individual, when he is 15, his wants are different. When he is 20, his wants are different. When he is 30, his wants are different. When he is 50, when his wants are different. So different age group, different wants and needs arises. So that is why this motivation has to be a continuous process, instant process until the completion of the objective. So it is a continuous process. It has to uh, continuously taken into consideration. So therefore, it is the responsibility of the management to develop innovative techniques, system, methods to satisfy the changing needs of the employees. So what we can sum up in the previous slide is it has to be customized. See, uh, having a flexible work culture, giving employees freedom at work, that itself is a motivation. See, some organizations have a very strict rules and regulations, something like you can take it as bureaucracy. See, their employees don't like to work where they don't have freedom of expression and other things. But in a democratic setup of organization where employees' values are admired, employees' uniqueness are admired, so those kind of organization will uh, the things will be get done in a proper manner. So motivation is a continuous process. So it has to take care into consideration lot many things. Complex and unpredictable. See, that is why I said when anything that involves the human psychology, that becomes a very complex process. See, the biggest challenge in the human behavior is why humans behave differently. The same person will behave in a different manner over a course of 24 hours. So why this? What causes this behavior? So that is why the stimulus and response. Positive stimulus, positive response. Negative stimulus, negative response. Uh, no stimulus, no response, or something like this. So entire concept is based on stimulus and response thing. Motivation is complex and unpredictable task. Human wants are not definite and they change according to the consequences. So the same thing. What motivates an individual when he initially joined an organization may not motivate him after 10 years. After 20 years, it is going to be different. So likewise, so because the needs keep on changing, a worker may be satisfied in the present situation, but due to his change need, he may not be satisfied in future. So, see, what do we think is that see, some employees may not feel happy with the promotion because promotion comes with more responsibility. He may feel it as a burden. Some employee may feel it as a challenge and take it. Some employees they may take it as a challenge and do it. So the same assumption of responsibility is also a different thing. So that is why, due to his change needs, he may not be satisfied in future. Similarly, if two persons may not be motivated with the similar behavior and facilities, the manager must be more conscious to motivate the subordinates and to achieve the objective. See, that is why if you take person A and B, if you give both of them the promotion, one may be, if you measure the motivational satisfaction of these two employees, there may be a difference in their level of satisfaction. So, why? Because it comes with different dynamics altogether. His culture, his background, his risk-taking ability, his other aspect. So that is why it is so pervasive function. So what do we mean by the word pervasive? It is present at all the levels of organization. Say motivation is not that it is only needed for the supervisory level or something like that. So motivation is needed at all the levels of organization. So motivation is a pervasive function of all levels of management. Every manager from top to the lowest level in the management hierarchy is responsible for motivation. See, for a successful functioning of any organization, all the levels are important, and all the levels, the contribution of all the levels are equally important. So now, when taking these things into consideration, the concept of motivation must be present at all the levels of organization, whether it is at the lower level of the management, whether it is higher level of management. Because when we talk about the success of organization, it is the contribution of all the employees working within the organization. So motivation is required at all levels. It is we cannot confine motivation only to the top level or supervisory level or something like that. Every department, every individual, whatever the job he's doing, his contribution towards the organizational growth plays a very important role. A manager is largely responsible for motivating his subordinates, and secondly, other subordinates in the management hierarchy. So we can say that the managers are mainly responsible for motivating the employees, and also the departmental heads, so on and so forth. So all this. See, that is why when we talk about management, we had Hawthorne study, we had relay assembly room experiment. See, what all these try to tell is that what are the factors which contribute to positive productional output, and what are the things which contribute to negative productional output. So that those experiments were conducted, and these experiments have proved that beyond doubt that motivation is a very important and integral part of the organizational experiment for organizational success, and also the employee bonding, the human relation aspect, all these things have to be dealt with. Influences the behavior. The most important objective of motivation is to influence the employee behavior. See, if say other day when we were discussing, see what is learning. Learning is relatively a permanent change in one's behavior as a matter of experience. So motivation is an intervention. So when we talk about intervention, the intervention must bring about a change in what? A change in behavior. So that behavioral change plays a very important role. So if it is not produced in the behavioral aspect, so motivation is not successful. So it must bring about behavioral changes. So when we talk about behavioral changes, it should bring about their change in their attitude, their change in their perception, their working style. So all these things contribute to the behavioral aspect. Bringing about behavioral changes, the manager influence the behavior of the worker and encourage them to concentrate more on their goals. Yes, if motivation fails to bring about behavioral changes, so I think that motivation has failed to do its job. So that is why motivation must bring about the behavioral changes aspect. Next is positive or negative. So, what kind of motivation we need to have, or what kind of motivational approach we need to have, positive and negative. So, let us be optimistic, and motivation may be positive or negative. A positive motivation promises incentives and rewards to the worker. See, in an organization, when we are dealing with people, so people come with different background, people come with mm, people come with different cultural values, different background, different mindset. So there are various aspects to this human relation. So in an organization, to a larger extent, positive or constructive motivation must be practiced, but sometimes negative motivation must be used in order to bring about the desired behavioral change. So, what are the kind of positive motivation, incentives, rewards to the workers? So, that is positive. Giving them incentives, giving them rewards, they are all positive. Mm, Incentives are both financial and non-financial. Financial incentives and non-financial motivation. So, negative motivation is based on, say again, financial and non-financial. You might ask, what is the difference? Say, finance is related to money. Say, non-financial motivation means giving them the stock option, giving the company shares to the employee. See, that is also a non-financial way of motivating. So many software companies, including Infosys, for the employees who have served long term in an organization, they offer them the valuable shares of their company. So this is all a kind of motivational technique that they give. So negative motivation is based on punishment for the poor performance. See, when we take up in the organization, we have various kinds of employees. Poor performance are also a part of organizational routine. So it is not that everybody will work 100% efficiently. So sometimes the employee's performance may go a little, what do we say, negative or not up to the mark, whatever. So now what happens? Those kind of deviations have to be recognized and they have to be brought on track. So one way is a negative motivation. See, for the best example, you can take it as performance appraisal. See, why do we do a performance appraisal? So what is the use of doing the performance appraisal? See, to assess the performance of the employee, the past performance of the employee. So what he has done in the last year, 6 months, what he has done in the last 1 year. So performance appraisal is basically done to assess the past performance of the employee. So one reason of performance appraisal is to positively motivate or to negatively motivate the employee. Negative in the sense, if they have not met the required standards, so of course they will be not given incentives or rewards. So negative motivation is based on punishment for poor performance, like the reducing demotion, job termination, etc. So on the basis of, say, recently Google laid off so many employees, around 2.5, 2,500 employees. So why this happens is because the organizations have to keep a check on the employees' performance. So if they are not up to the mark, yes, those employees needs to be warned, or they have to be terminated. So on the basis of requirement, manager can use both constructive and negative motivation for better performance. See, that is why when we talk about the motivation, what is very important is what kind of motivational techniques we use is also depends on what kind of situation it is. So by far we have to use the constructive motivational technique. So if at all they fail to address the issue, so then I think that negative motivation may have to be used. So a successful organization keeps a check on all the employees' performance. So performance appraisal is basically done for these aspects. So that is why this management is also a very complex process. These motivation is also a very complex process. So all these things are very important. So what did we study? Motivation is a psychological process. So in characteristics number one, it is a psychological process. It is purely a psychological. So it is a continuous process. So it has to happen on a regular basis. Complex and unpredictable. So motivation is also complex and also unpredictable. So sometimes the motivation tools and techniques may work, sometimes it may not work. Pervasive, it is present at all the levels of organization. So depending upon the situation, either we have to do positive or negative motivation. So these are some of the characteristics of motivation. So now next we have to see the different type of motivational theories. So again, when we talk about motivation, so again we have to see what kind of motivational tools or techniques we need to apply. So with respect to this, what we need to also understand is that there are various theories of motivation. So we can classify them as content theories and the process theories. So motivation is a tool. So the right tool has to be used at the right time. So this is an important thing because recognizing the right motivational tool is also a challenge. See, as we discussed in our previous points, what we also need to understand is motivation is very personalized concept and a very individual concept. So motivation is not like every employees can be motivated with the same kind of approach. So motivation needs to be designed and redesigned, keeping in mind the various complexities in the organization. So next is we discussed about different types of motivational theories. So you may have already learned, or in the process you will learn few more theories. So content theories, we have Maslow's theory, Herzberg theory, McClelland theory, Alderfer's theory. Process theory, we have uh, uh, expectancy theories and equity theory by Stacey Adams. So now, when we talk about the motivational theories, um, what we also need to understand is uh, important theories are Maslow. So Abraham Maslow's need hierarchy theory. So we have to understand one is motivation. We have understood need and hierarchy. So there is a need, but in order to achieve that need, there has to be a certain hierarchy. Hierarchy is nothing but a step-by-step process. So only when I achieve step one, I can go to step two, step three, step four. So likewise, different levels of motivation. So what this uh, theory talks about is that motivation is based on the hierarchy. Mm, So he has classified the uh, the motivation into different hierarchy. So starting with physiological and ending with self-actualization. So this theory is used across the world. This is one of the widely referred theories in motivation, and this theory still holds good even today. Because if we analyze this theory from any aspect, uh, it looks very this thing that a person has to go through these levels before he can achieve something. So here the author talks about the physiological need. See, when we talk about physiological, that is means the bodily needs, the human body needs. So what does the body needs for existence? The basic mm, things for survival is the food, clothing, shelter, and all these things. See, because no human being can exist on this earth without having the basic needs. So that is physiological needs. So that is food, clothing, and shelter. So that is the basic need of any individual who is born as a human being. So first he has to satisfy that need. So once he satisfies that need, so how do we see this? So next we see about safety needs. See, what is the next level of his safety? So what do we mean by safety? So one is a physical safety, another one is a psychological safety. See, why do we live in a house? So because for our physical safety. What is this psychological safety? So we need to have, for example, why do we have a life insurance? Why do we have a health insurance? All these things. So why? Because we want to feel financially secure, financially securing the family and ourselves. So the concept of safety comes at the next level of the Maslow's need hierarchy theory. So safety plays a very, 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 very important role after physiological needs. So because if a person doesn't feel safe physically and psychologically, so that creates a lot of issues in his life. So what this author says is after we have the basic needs fulfilled, so next we strive for safety needs. So the income safety and other safety. So the next one is the love and the belonging needs. So of course, man is a social animal. So why do we say he's a social animal? Because we live in society, we interact in society, we have relationship, we have family, we have. See, why do we strive for all these things? Is because to satisfy our love and belongingness needs. So that is why a home, family members, that and everything for society, why it plays an important role is because it is a need. So because we all talk about the human needs. So love and belonging is also a human need. So we identify ourselves as the members of the society. We identify ourselves as the members of the family. We identify ourselves as the member of the organization. So human being is basically a social animal. So he cannot be in isolation. So we have existed in groups from time immemorial, and will be in group in future also. So the concept of love and belongingness is also a need which the human strives to satisfy. So after our physiological safety and the love and belonging needs, so next we go to the esteem needs. So what is this esteem needs? So esteem needs are nothing but the status and the social symbol. See, what is the status and social symbol? See, after our three needs are met, so then we have to uh, project ourselves in the society as a successful person. So for that, what do we do? We go for esteem needs. So esteem needs, you can take the example of membership of a prestigious club, membership of a religious club, membership of buying a car, buying a house. So they are all there to satisfy our esteem. So esteem is basically it is the process of showing ourselves as a successful. It is a status symbol. So where I belong to, what I am, is actually the esteem need. So according to this author, so once we have satisfied all these needs, so we actually then when all the needs are satisfied, then we can think of really being capable of doing something for ourselves and something for the society. Because if any level of these, if any of these needs are not met at any level, say a person safety need is not met, so it is highly impossible for him to think about the esteem needs or self-actualization needs. So this circle has to be completed. A person has to go through these steps, irrespective of his position. So every individual strives for physiological first, safety next, love and belonging next, esteem, the material symbol, and the last one is self-actualization. So self-actualization is basically who I am, what I can do, what my potentials are, what see, it is basically a realization within oneself as to what he can become or what he is capable of becoming. So this is the concept of self-actualization. So these are some of the explanation. So physiological needs like food, air, water, and shelter. So lower order needs, they need to be met first in order to move. So these are some of the examples. So safety needs. See, when we talk from an organizational perspective, what we need to consider is at workplace, manager ensure meeting of safety needs by providing the job security. See, when we talk from an organizational perspective, what does safety means? See, first and the foremost thing, a safe working environment. So that is the point number one. Safety needs by providing job security. See, today, why many of them aspire to join a government job is because of job security. See, one of the reasons for joining a government job is because of job security and income security. So, even in an organization, they must strive to provide the employees with job security and income security, medical insurance. So, of course, health security is also very important. So, recently we went through pandemic, COVID. So, we all know how the situation was, what kind of havoc it created inside the society, how many people lost their life, and how many people uh, lost their family members. So medical insurance is also an important aspect, and we know today how costly the medical establishment is to take a treatment, and gadgets and machine for working. So all these comes under the safety needs. So see, when we talk from an organization, with the diagram I spoke about the generalistic thing. So when we talk from an organizational perspective, what does this social or belongingness mean? So these include need for love, affection, interaction with the people. See, of course, when we are working in an organization, see, that is also a family. That is also a place away from home. So what do we say? An organization must be home away from home. So it should create that positive working environment where each and every individual feels comfortable. See, if an organization becomes a place for headache, so always there is tension, always there is a negative mindset. So they all create, have a negative impact on the organization. So even in an organization, the human side of the organization, when we talk about what is very important is the interpersonal relationship. So today, when we talk about the industrial psychology and other aspects, see, we emphasize more on this interpersonal relationship in an organization. See, because we as a human being, we come with different mindset, different cultural background, different ethnicity, different mindset. We are all unique. We are all different. So there are so many parameters that differentiates physically and psychologically. But again, when we are working in an organization, we have to come together and work for the success of organization. So what is the most important thing there is the interpersonal relationship. Point number one. How do we develop this interpersonal relationship? Because if interpersonal relationship fails, I can say the organization cannot achieve things in the long run. The quality of work life also is important in an organization. So these needs are also called affiliation needs. Social needs are essential to human. They do not feel isolated and depressed. Social needs through friendship, family, and intimacy. See, in an organization, we can take it as superior subordinate relationship, the interpersonal relationship, interdepartmental relationship. So they are all plays a very important role. See, only it is not that the profit making was the old concept of organization. See, even today, profit making is the primary purpose. But before, the more emphasis was laid on the monetary results. So, but today, most of the organization they are recognizing the human side of organization. They are trying to bring about a harmony within those group of employees within an organization, because the harmonious relation is what is essential for a healthy development within an organization. So of course, esteem, these include two aspects: self-esteem or self-respect through personal achievement. See, when we talk about esteem need, so self-esteem. So what is this self-esteem? So self-esteem is basically an individual's liking towards himself or herself. So how do I feel about myself? In simple, if I have to define self-esteem, uh, how do I feel about myself? So whether I feel good about myself, so whether I feel horrible about myself. So it is an individual concept of himself, not about anybody else. So self-esteem is also a biggest area of research in social psychology, in social this thing. So self-esteem. So how do we improve our self-esteem? So it's all very important. See, the concept of self-esteem may look very simple to define, but it is the most complex thing to achieve. So self-esteem also requires a lot of things. Our self-respect through personal achievements and social esteem through respect and appreciation from others. So we are all striving for recognition and all these things. So why, in order to satisfy our self-esteem? So this esteem needs is also very important. So managers should motivate their subordinate by giving them awards and appreciation certificates for their achievement. See, that is why esteem needs means even if the employees who are working in the organization, so they must be motivated through proper reward and recognition time and again. So, if an employee is motivated, he feels positive about himself. So, when he feels positive about himself, definitely his self-esteem will increase. So, once his self-esteem increases, his interpersonal relation will increase. So, there is a harmony within the organization. So, they are all they cannot be looked into bits and pieces, but they have to be looked in a holistic fashion. So that is why it has a cascading effect. So positive or negative, it has a cascading effect, and motivation is a very contagious this thing within an organization. So positive or negative, they are very contagious. So if an employee A feels that he is not recognized by the hard work, and if you communicate with the group of his other fellow employees, they also feel uh, not working hard because they don't get reward and recognition. So it can affect either an organization positively or negatively. So that is why all these aspects they have to be kept in mind. So self-actualization, it is the pursuit of reaching one's full potential as a person. So how do we reach the fullest potential? So what are the things that has to be taken into consideration for reaching the fullest potential? So it is the pursuit of reaching one's full potential as a person. These needs are not necessarily fully satisfied owing to the exploration of new opportunity by an individual. So this depends upon the individual to individual. The management should keep meeting these needs by providing the employees with a challenging task and inviting them to decision making. So of course, how do a person feel worthwhile in an organization? So how do he feel that he is an integral part of? So he has to be recognized. He has to be consulted. He has to be given the importance within an organization. So what it does is it gives him a kind of self-actualization. So yes, I am also an important aspect of organization. I must contribute this, that, and everything. So next theory we see is Herzberg two-factor theory. So Frederick Herzberg developed motivation hygiene theory on the basis of studies to understand the factors affecting satisfaction or dissatisfaction. See, what we need to understand here in an organization, either there is satisfaction or there is dissatisfaction. So, two important concepts. So, now we need to know what causes satisfaction, what causes dissatisfaction. So, they are termed here factors affecting satisfaction and dissatisfaction in work environment. These factors have been classified as motivators and hygiene factors, respectively. So, one leads to satisfaction, other leads to dissatisfaction. So, what they have done, they have classified it as motivators and hygiene factors. So, what contributes to motivation and what contributes to the other aspect. So, hygiene factors. So, they are basic factor in a job and also known as extrinsic factor. See, here they have made it as intrinsic and extrinsic. Although they may not provide positive satisfaction, but the absence of these factors lead to dissatisfaction. Example of hygiene factor include status, job security, salary, fringe benefits. See, hygiene factor may not cause demotivation immediately, but certainly they have effect on an individual. Uh, hygiene, so satisfaction and dissatisfaction. See here what happens. See, hygiene factors may not cause immediate dissatisfaction to the employee. So what happens is that although they may not provide positive satisfaction, but the absence, say, being present, they may not cause immediate satisfaction or rise in productivity, but their absence will definitely have an impact. So what happens here is that hygiene factor includes status, job security, salary, and fringe benefits. Say, for example, an organization has overlooked the employee's salary hike. Some employees may work because of the compulsion for financial security. They may work, but they may not take full pride in working in the organization. So, some amount of dissatisfaction is there, which is not directly projected, but still the dissatisfaction is there. So, this is known as the hygiene factor. So, motivators. So these factors are internal to the job and that provide satisfaction. So these are called intrinsic factors. Absent of these factors may not yield dissatisfaction, but their presence in the jobs gives a sense of satisfaction. See, this concept needs to be understood clearly. So, example of motivators are job challenges. See, of course, every individual likes challenging work environment. So, if there is no proper challenging work environment, so that will lead to dissatisfaction uh, with the employee. Advancement, yes. What do we mean by advancement? Is the career growth. Advancement with respect to the career growth in an organization. So, employees' career has to be planned properly. See, what do we say is career is a sequence of job-related position and individual holds within an organization. So, why do an employee join an organization? To have a career in that organization. So, what constitutes career? The growth within the organization. So, if the employees are not given a proper career planning within the organization, or if they are not given growth within the organization, what happens is that they may not cause motivation to the employee to work uh, any harder. So advancement, autonomy, the freedom to do the work. See, that also plays a very important role. So where we talk about democratic work environment. So that aspect also, and responsibility. See, authority without responsibility is meaningless. So authority and responsibility must go hand in hand. So they must be taken into consideration. So McClelland's achievement model. See, this is also one of the theory of motivation, a widely used theory of motivation. So David McClelland advocates the model of motivating uh, classifying as achievement, affiliation, and power. So here, what is important is to understand this theory. So irrespective of what theory we are dealing with, so ultimately all of them are aimed at creating that positive motivation to the employee. So here he has classified as achievement, affiliation, and power. So he proposes that individual behavior at any time is guided by multiple motives. See, of course, we are all human beings. We have different motives at different given point of time. At the same time, we have multiple motives. So that is why we say it is a very complex process because it cannot be understood in a very simple manner. So it requires a lot of understanding to be done. He proposes that individual behavior at any is multiple motives, but in most situations, one or two motives are dominant, and thus motivation varies with variation of needs. So again, dominant motivation and not so important. So dominant factors. What are the dominant factors which leads to? So David McClelland advocates the model of motivation, classifying the needs as achievement, affiliation, and power. So in Maslow's theory, we talked about physiological safety, social esteem, and other things. So here, what we are trying to understand is classifying the needs of an individual into three categories. One is need for achievement. So every employee wants to achieve. Affiliation, that is, see here you can say as affiliation need and the power, of course, the power need of an individual. So he proposed that an individual's behavior at any time is guided by multiple motives, but in most situations, one or two motives are dominant. See, it is something like this. What is important? See, it is like choosing to do important things first than the non-important things. It is something like that. So we have to prioritize which one to take up first. So in the same way, um, here what is he proposed is that two or more motives are dominant, and thus motivation varies with the individual needs. So there are dominant motivation. There are other motivations which are not important. So the first one we see is need for achievement. So people with high need for achievement seek excel and thus tend to prefer moderate risk. They chose to task whereby they can take personal responsibility of finding solution to the uh, problem. So people with high need for achievement seek to excel and thus tend to prefer moderate risk. See, people who are achievement oriented, they one thing which we have seen reading various research and by observation is that achievement oriented people they take risk. So why is because they are high risk takers. See, of course, risk come with two factors: certainty and uncertainty. So again, these risk factors need to be assessed. So people with a high need for achievement, they are the people who take the risk. They chose those tasks whereby they can take personal responsibility for finding solution to the problem. So people with need for achievement, they chose to task whereby they can take personal responsibility. So people with achievement, they take personal responsibility. They take personal responsibility for their own achievement or failures. Achievers require regular feedback in order to check for progress of their achievement. See, of course, people who are achievement oriented, they always want to take feedback. So why do they take feedback? Is because they want to correct their deviations, if any. Achievers require regular feedback. That is one point. The management should give high achievers a challenging project with attainable goals. See, in an organization, again, we have categories of employees. So, one is high achievement, moderate achievement oriented people, and low achievement oriented people. So, people come with different capabilities, give different mindsets. So, these things have to be taken into consideration. The management should give high achievers a challenging project with attainable goals. So, now we have need for affiliation. So, what is this affiliation we are talking about? So, those with high need for affiliation look out for pleasant relationship with other people. See, people with achievement, that's a different aspect. So, people need for affiliation. What are their traits? Look out for pleasant relationship with others. So, they want to work in harmony with every member in an organization and feel accepted by other people. So they accept people and they want to be accepted by other people. Such people are desires of companionship and helping each other. See, this is basically important in teamwork. So why is because today every organization we have team and teamwork. So why it is important is because especially if we take IT and modern organizations, so we are all working in teams. So why it is important? Because in a teamwork, what is very important is harmony, harmoniously working together. So what do we mean by harmoniously working together? Where they have mutual trust and respect. So such people are desirous of companionship and helping each other. So people with high need for affiliation, they always want to uh, help each other in achieving their task, prefer work that provide them with significant personal interaction. So this is another, they tend to conform to the norms of their work groups. So here what I said is because this need for affiliation, these kind of people are basically suitable for the team and teamwork because their basic motive is affiliation. They tend to conform to the norms of the work group. So, of course, when we talk about the group and group norms, so we have a set of group norms and things like that. Um, conform to the norms with the work group, so they become very easily adaptable. So, what is very important is adaptability. The manager should create an atmosphere of supportive interpersonal relation. See, here it is very important. What is very important is the interpersonal relation. And for an interpersonal relation, a supportive infrastructure is important. So, what is that supportive infrastructure? Is organizational culture, and thus such kind of group formation leads to achievement of goals. So, this leads to achievement of goals. So, the need for power is stated by the desire to influence others. See, uh, what we have to understand here is that the need for power. So some individual in an organization, they have the highest need for power. Why? basically, why do they need power? Because with power, you can influence the other people. So people seeking a need for power tend to be outspoken and forceful. So we know why people are hungry for power. So basically, why do they want power? Is because they are in a position to influence the other person. So what are their characteristics? They are outspoken and they are forceful. They are willing to engage in confrontation. See, of course, authority and power. We talk about authority and power. Um, See, authority comes from this legitimate. See, we have legitimate power and illegitimate power. So those discussions are also there. So now, why they are willing to engage in confrontation? So confrontation means who for group they want to influence the other and all these things. So need for power could be two types: personal and institutional. So those who need personal power want to direct others, and this need is often considered undesirable. So why it is considered undesirable? Because we are not in a bureaucratic kind of an organization today. So we are rather working more on a democratic kind of an organizational setup. So where people don't like to be much influenced by the power of others. Person who need institutional power want to manage the efforts of others to promote the goals of the organization. So we cannot completely say that this power and authority structure is not completely needed or needed. So that argument is different. But how do we get the work done? Is through the authority and power. It has been seen that managers with high need for institutional power tend to be more effective than with the need for personal power. See, institutional power people they are more effective than the need for personal power. So again, next we have Aldous ERG theory. So what is this? Existence, relatedness, and growth. So what is this theory all about? See, Aldafer developed a model of motivation aligning with Maslow's motivation theory by reducing the five needs suggested by Maslow. So in Abraham Maslow's theory, we have five needs starting from physiological and ending with self-actualization. So here, the researcher has made an attempt uh, to reducing the five needs suggested by Maslow to three needs. These are existence, relatedness, and growth. Existence, relatedness, and growth. So, see, physiological and safety can be clubbed as existence. Love and belonging and esteem can be relatedness, and growth we can put it as the self-actualization. So, there is nothing but mm, the model has been an abridged version of the Maslow's need hierarchy theory. So, according to Aldafer, there is no hierarchy of needs, and any desire to fulfill a need can be activated at any point of time. So, this results in lower level needs not requiring to be satisfied in order to satisfy high level needs. Now, see here, the author is taking a different deviation. So, what he says is that there is no hierarchy of needs, and any desire to fulfill a need can be activated at any point. So this results in lower level needs not requiring to be satisfied. So here he talks about existence. So it refers to our concern with basic material existence motivator. Say again, this existential needs. What we talk about existential needs is all about the existential motivation. So in order to survive uh, in this mm, in this world, so we have to take care about with the basic material existence. So he talks about existence. So relatedness it refers to the motivation we have for maintaining interpersonal relationship. So he talks about relatedness. It refers to the motivation we have for maintaining interpersonal relation and growth. So first is existence. Second one is, say, relatedness means you can take into account lot many things. And growth, it refers to intrinsic desire for personal development. So, at what level an individual likes to grow is dependent upon the individual himself, not on anything else. So, here he talks about the growth. So, next we have expectancy theory. Was propounded opposing to Herzberg's two-factor theory. So, this theory was developed by Victor Varun. So it is also one of the important theories of motivation. So otherwise, it is known as Varun's expectancy theory. The theory explains the behavioral process of why individuals choose one behavioral alternative over the other. See, why do we uh, why do we want to escape punishment and why do we want a reward? See, because we want to exhibit one behavior in order to avoid the negative consequences. So we are put in another behavior, we want to attract the positive this one. So here, why individuals choose one behavior alternative over the other? It suggests that individuals are motivated towards objectives if they think that their performance will be rewarded. Say an ex-employee, if he feels that he will be rewarded uh, by putting the hard work. So he will try to work hard, motivated towards the objective if they think that their performance will be rewarded. So, so individuals are motivated. So if they think that their performance will be rewarded for their efforts, they will put more effort. So if they think that their performance will be rewarded, they will put more effort. So if they think their performance will not be rewarded, so they will not put much effort. So Varun suggested three variables in the study. So he has considered three variables in the study. So one is expectancy, instrumentality, and valence. So what we are going to see. So what happens in this theory is, so if an employee feels that he will get some kind of reward and recognition, his motivation, he will put more motivation, so that will lead to reward. So if he feels that he is not going to get certain rewards or not recognition, so he will not put much effort. So now we move on to another theory, so which is known as the equity theory. So the word equity means equal. So this theory is given by uh, Stacy J.S. Adams, J. Stacy Adams. So equity theory was suggested by J.S. Adams. The assumption behind this theory is that the employees experience strong expectation of justice. See, in organization, when we are working together, uh, see, basically, the human tendency is that we expect fair and equitable treatment within the organization. So here in the equity theory, what this author is trying to tell is that the assumption behind this theory is that the employees experience strong expectation of justice. See, of course, the employees working in an organization, they always want to have that organizational justice, balance and fairness in treatment. Of course, the democratic kind of an organization where every employees are respected. Irrespective of their caste, creed, and religion. So, this is one aspect. The balance and fairness is treatment by their employers. So, this theory propounds that individuals are motivated by a desire to be treated equally at the work. So, equity theory is basically, see, always the human tendency is that we always have the comparison. between two individuals. So why it happened to him, why it did not happen to me. So here this theory says that individuals are motivated by a desire to be treated equally at the work. So employees have to be treated equally in the work, equally in the work. Two variables are important, namely inputs and outcomes. So, according to this theory, the employees constantly assess their level of effort against the fellow worker and rewards they receive for their effort. See, that is why we say that the organizations must have see, here that is why we say the organizations must have an equitable treatment towards all the employees in an organization, because when we talk about an organization, there is always a comparison that we make. So, what did he get? So, if there is a equal and a fair treatment, so according to this theory, it says that the employees are motivated if they feel that the organization is favorable in treating them. So now this was with respect to the employees' motivation. So now, see why this motivation was important. Uh, is because the entrepreneurs, as an entrepreneur, they need to have an understanding about the various motivational tools and technique. Because if they fail to understand the motivational tools and technique or the theories of motivation, so they cannot really use them properly. So that is why, as an entrepreneur, what is very important what is important is that they need to understand their employee, use management tools and technique in order to achieve. So see now, when we talk about an entrepreneurship management, so what are the institutional support? See, uh, for example, if an entrepreneur see, if he has a good idea and if it is not supported properly, so then the enterprise may fail. So now institutions support to entrepreneurship. So what are the institutions that exist to support the entrepreneurship? Um, by the way of government, how do they help? Because today we have to depend upon the banks and financial institutions for various loans and facilities, and for the government for various entrepreneurial this thing. So now we have to see what are the institutional support that we have, because without institutional support, most of the organization ventures will fail. And there is a lot of encouragement. See, that is why Saram Vishwesvaraya had said industrialization or perish. So what do we really mean by this is that the industries are the backbone of any economy. Industries are the backbone of any economy. So now, the really in a modern world, the growth of any economy is directly depend upon these kind of ventures. So that is encouraging the entrepreneurs. So what are the main advantages is the entrepreneurs that they generate more and more jobs. So unemployment issues can be tackled if we encourage more and more entrepreneurs. But nevertheless, the entrepreneurs will also need the encouragement from the institutional support. So the central and the state government supports entrepreneurial activity in various ways. The central and the state government. See, of course, we have the state and the central government, which have their own set of rules and regulation in terms of supporting the entrepreneurial ability. So now their role is very important. The central and the state government support entrepreneurial activity in various ways, services like financing. See, financing an entrepreneur is also very important, because an entrepreneur needs finance. However good idea it may be, but if that idea is not supported by the money, so that entrepreneur may fail, the ideas may fail. So that is the financial institutional and the technical guidance. So they need to, so technical guidance, equipment support, training, marketing, and providing subsidiary and grants are supported by several institutions. So, what is very important is that how does the central and the state government support this entrepreneurial development? So, since after globalization, after 1991, after liberalization, privatization, and globalization, so we are marching towards more and more of these kind of mm, entrepreneurial this thing. So now the role of central government. See in what way they can help an entrepreneur. One is the financial aspect. So next one is technical guidance. So how to do technical guidance, equipment support. So how do they have to equipment support, training, of course, how best they can impart training to these aspiring entrepreneurs. Marketing and providing subsidy and grants are supported by the several institutions. So now we have uh, the Industrial Development Bank of India. See, the government of India um, under the RBI. So we have many private and public banks which are specifically targeted at developing the entrepreneurs in the country. And we have dedicated banks. So we have dedicated banks which are focusing on the development of the entrepreneurs. So first one is IDBI Bank, so Industrial Development Bank of India. See, these banks are specially aimed at providing loan to the industrial undertaking. So they play a very important role in developing. So next we have Industrial Financial Corporation of India. See again, it is also one of the important body that promotes the entrepreneurial ability in the country. Uh, Next one is Small Industrial Development Bank of India. So that is also known as SIDBI. So these are some of the institutions. So next we have uh, central bank. So now we have State Small Industrial Corporation (SSIC). So regional rural banks. So we have specific bank for agriculture, NABARD, National Agricultural Bank for rural development, State Financial Corporation, Industrial Development Corporation, cooperative banks, and Grameen banks. See, when we talk about the entrepreneurial development, so it is the overall entrepreneurial development that we are talking about, right at the metro level till the rural level. So all kind of entrepreneurs mm, needs to be developed. So that is why the state small industrial corporation. So regional rural banks, of course, uh, we have regional rural banks. So next we have uh, state financial corporation, state industrial development corporation, and cooperative banks and Grameen bank. So we have institutional for technical guidance. See, financing is one aspect, and giving them technical training is another aspect. So we need to also focus on how do we train our human resource in different areas of the entrepreneurial ability. See, just with finance, see, not everybody can come out with idea and materialize those ideas. So Some people will have no, idea, but they will not have the technical skills to perform those ideas. See here, the organization that help us, small industrial development organization. See what is the role of this small industrial development organization is to set up the small industries. So, what are the trainings? Say, suppose somebody wants to set up an ice cream factory or a pickle factory or something like this. Small industries. So, what are the investment required? So, they will have to be trained on those product and the processes and all these things. So, small industrial development of in India, small industrial development organization. So, district industrial center. So we have district industrial centers. So we have training centers which are present in the district headquarters. So district industry center, technical consultancy organization. So small industry service institute, state small industrial development corporation, and so we have NABARD, we have IDBI, we have ICICI, Industrial Credit Investment Corporation of India. So likewise, we have many of them. Institution for training small industries. We have Surveys Institute, National Bank for Agricultural and Rural Development. So we also talk about rural entrepreneurs. So how to develop entrepreneurs at the rural level. So for that we have NABARD, National Bank for Agricultural and Rural Development, Council for Advancement of People's Action and Rural Technology, and District Industries Center. So support for innovation and entrepreneurship provided by Government of India. Several initiatives and policy have been undertaken by the Government of India to support innovation and entrepreneurship. See, support for innovation and entrepreneurship. See, as I told you previously, see today what we call it as mm, the successful economies or the developed countries. So one of the reasons for their growth, one of the reasons for their growth has been the development of entrepreneurship in those countries. So that is why once I said this one, the 1991, the liberalization, the privatization, and the globalization. So then the dynamics of the Indian market started to change. So where we started having more of uh, where we had more of foreign investments coming in India. So it was a very big step in the development of the economy. So support for innovation and entrepreneurship provided by Government of India. Several initiatives and policies have been undertaken by the government. See, that is why in our constitution we say we aim at a welfare state. So welfare state means everybody should grow equally economically and all those things. So that is the welfare government, and policies have been undertaken by the Government of India to support innovation and entrepreneurship. See, the progress of any economy depends upon invention and innovation. So, what is support? See, the government must support the innovation initiative. Job creation is one of the biggest challenges India faces. See, the unemployment issues are still there, but thanks to the technology today, so we have various jobs that can be done from home and other. The concept of job dynamics are slowly changing. So, nevertheless, the responsibility of the government mm, is to create jobs. So, how do we create jobs? Mm, is by creating more job opportunities. So, how do we create more job opportunities? By creating more and more entrepreneurs. So, Government of India innovation, entrepreneurship, job creation is one of the biggest challenges India faces. See, that is why the development of entrepreneurship very important because the more and more entrepreneurs develop in a nation, the more and more job creation that will happen, and directly and indirectly. So we will have different stakeholders attached to each organization. So that creates direct and indirect wealth to the nation, and of course, it will contribute to the GDP of the nation. So with the Indian demographic, we have a lot of potential to innovate. Of course, the innovation has to be encouraged in every country because whatever that we are enjoying the fruits today is because of invention and innovation. Let it be electricity, let it be bulb, let it be any product that we use is all because of the innovative mind. So the entrepreneurs needs to be developed and potential to innovate. So innovation has to be given. Raise entrepreneurs and create jobs for the benefit of our the nation. So how to reduce this unemployment issue? How to reduce this unemployment issue is by addressing by creating more jobs and creating more entrepreneurs, the benefit of our nation. On the other hand, realizing the importance of women entrepreneurship. Of course, recently, over the past 2 decades, what we have seen, the role of the women in the growth of economy is continuously increasing. So, women entrepreneurs are developing across the country. So, that is really a remarkable sign towards marching towards progress. So, where we have equal treatment for men and women. So there are many institutions which are supporting the women employment. So one example I can say Lichet Papad, which is purely run by the Mahila Gram Udyog. So we have many initiatives like that. We have many women entrepreneurship, many women entrepreneurs who have Kiran Mazumdar Shah. So we have so many examples of women entrepreneurs who have done a remarkable job towards the economic growth and all these things. So realizing the importance of women, Government of India has ensured that all policies are providing equal opportunity for women. See, as a welfare state, now one more thing that is also important is that we need to providing equal opportunity to the women employees. Next is women are given equal importance and support several sectors. So, when we talk about the Indian economy, so we have different economy. We have see previously when we talk about the Indian economic development. So previously we had see socialistic economy. See, economy can be basically seen from different this thing. So one is a socialistic economy, one is a capitalistic economy, and one is a mixed economy. So as we all studied in our previous this thing, so India is having a mixed economy. So what is a capitalistic economy where they encourage more and more private this one. So socialistic in a capitalistic economy, it is purely controlled by the capitalist. In a socialistic economy, it is purely controlled by the state. And in the mixed economy, where the both of them have participation in the growth of the economy. So for an economy has to grow, the contribution from both is also very important. So here, what happens is that so in India there are many challenges that we are facing today. So that is why recently our honorable Prime Minister is encouraging a lot of Skill India, and they are providing Mudra loan to the entrepreneurs who want to start their own business. So likewise, previously the government has taken initiative through 5 years plan. They have taken many initiatives. So, but still, more emphasis has to be given on this entrepreneurial development. So, few other initiative are Atal Innovative Mission. See, Atal Bihari Vajpayee Innovation Mission. So, more and more entrepreneurs can be developed when there is more and more encouragement and more participation from the stakeholders. So innovation is a part of this. So Startup India trade related entrepreneurship assistance and development program. So Startup India is a mm, big movement. So Make in India is also one of the important concepts. So if the economy has to grow forward and has to reap the benefit, so what is important is that uh, all these initiatives have to be supported in a very positive manner. So Startup India is a positive side on those aspects. So where they are encouraging Stand Up India, trade-related entrepreneurship assistance. So Department of Science and Technology. So when we talk about entrepreneurs, so we want a holistic entrepreneurial development mm, in science, in technology, in rural, in urban, everywhere. So what is very important is that how well we collaborate all these efforts together in order to bring about the entrepreneurial ability. So next, Biotechnology Industrial Research Assistance Council. So, biotechnology is another important area which has been contributing positively towards the economic growth. So, one thing I talked previously about Kiran Mazumdar Shah, the Biocon, the head of the Biocon. Mm, uh, so, that is a biotechnological company. So, which is really doing good for the overall development of the nation. So, when we talk about entrepreneurship, it has to be the overall growth of the economy as such, support to train and employment program for women. See, even today, uh, the employment of women, so support and training for them. See, especially in rural sector where they are not able to get access to the training. So that is why we have rural. We have set up. The government has set up the training centers at rural for the assistance. So I gave you the example of Lidget Papad and many small scale industries. So where they are able to uh, contribute to the growth of these entrepreneurs. So science for equity, empowerment, and development. So the various initiatives that are taken is also very important. So here, if we have to sum up from the beginning, so what we have learned, just a quick recap as to what we have done. So one is so we talked about introduction to uh, mm, entrepreneurship. So what do we mean by entrepreneur? So is to undertake initiative. The person who starts the business, who brings in different resources together, and who starts the business. The biggest challenge faced by organ to get because see these are we because the topic was also on motivation. So, what is the role of motivation in developing entrepreneurs? So that we also discussed definition we discussed. So characteristics of motivation. So we discussed about the psychological. It is a psychological process. Next one, it is a continuous process. Next, we discussed about the complex and unpredictable. So it is a very complex and an unpredictable this one process.
so pervasive. So it is present at all the levels of the organization, influences the behavior. So what happens is that the motivation influences the behavior. So we also talked about the positive or the negative motivation. So now we move on to the different theories that we have learned. A quick recap. So we discussed about the Maslow's need hierarchy theory. So that is Abraham Maslow's Abraham Maslow's. So so in motivation theory, we discussed about the content and the process theory. So under content theory, mm, we discussed about need hierarchy theory. So where it is classified in this diagram going from below to the top. So the first one is physical mm, or physiological needs. So the theory of motivation starts with the physiological needs. So they are at the basic needs of the human life, like food, clothing, shelter, and all these things. So safety needs. So of course, the safety of the income security and job security, social or belongingness or love needs. Next one is esteem needs. So what is that esteem needs after this one? So next one is self-actualization needs. Next we talk about the Herzberg two-factor theory. So this is based on hygiene and motivating factors. So what is an hygiene factor? So these are the basic factor in a job and known as extrinsic. So motivators are known as they are intrinsic factors. So next we talked about David McClelland achievement model, advocated a model of motivation. So need for achievement. So this theory focuses on the need for achievement, need for affiliation, and the need for power. So according to this author, it is based on this. Next is Alderfer's ERG theory, existence, relatedness, and growth needs. So next is expectancy theory. So next we discussed about the equity theory, uh, where it is based on the equal treatment and all those aspects. So next we discussed about recently, uh, just few moments back, we discussed about the institution support for entrepreneurship. So what is the role of the state? What is the role of the government in developing entrepreneurship? So central and the state government has taken so many initiatives. So those initiatives which we discussed, IDBI, industrial. So still we have many more, ICICI, CTB, all these things. So state, small, and we have various regulations governing these industries. So we have Industrial Dispute Act of 1947. So we have State Insurance Act. We have Workmen Compensation Act of 1936. Factories Act of 1948. So we have various laws governing the industries and also the corporates. So on the other side, we have the Companies Act of 1956. So the role of the state is very important in promoting, governing, and regulating the entrepreneurs in the country. So small scale industrial corporation, so all these things we discussed. So institution for technical guidance, small industrial development organization. So they are the very uh, important role. So we have technical guidance institute. We have district industrial centers. We have at every district headquarters, technical consultancy organization. So that is also State Small Industries Development Corporation, so Industrial Development Corporation. So both from the state and the central, what are the initiative which has been taken by the government? So institution for training small industries. So the industries can be classified as a small, medium, and large. So they fall under different criteria of investment, different rules. For small industries, we have a different rules and regulations. For large industries, so institution for training small industries, service institute, national bank for agricultural and so rural entrepreneurship is a separate uh, area that is need to be studied because entrepreneurship does not confine to the urbanized this thing. So rural entrepreneurship is very important. So Council for Advancement of People Action, Rural Technology. So support for innovation and entrepreneurship provided by the government. So government initiative that we have discussed. So few other initiative. So Atal Innovation Mission, Stand Up India, Trade and Entrepreneurship, Department of Science and Technology. So these are various statutory bodies we have which are supporting the entrepreneurship at every aspect. So as I told, this entrepreneurial development is at the very heart of the economic development. So any nation that prospers to grow, so they have to really support the entrepreneur ability, support to training and employment program. So these are the uh, things that I wanted to discuss for today's class. So one, the major aspect was focused on the motivational aspect. The second aspect was also on the institutional development. So motivation, now you have understood why it is important, what role does it play, and every other aspect related to motivation and also the theories of motivation. So because without employee motivation, uh, uh, organizational goals and objectives cannot be achieved. So motivation is an important and an integral part of the success of any organization. And the motivation cannot be confined to one or two parameters or one or two techniques. So motivation has to be a holistic approach, so which has to take into account the various aspects. So likewise, see, when we talk about entrepreneurship, so motivation is one of the aspects. See, for an entrepreneur to be a complete entrepreneur, he need to understand, have an understanding about the marketing related aspect, the finance related aspect, the HR related aspect, um, innovation. So an entrepreneur has to be a person who has the overall understanding about the organization. See, successful entrepreneurs like we can take as Azim Premji, the Reliance Industries, uh, uh, Mr. Narayan Murthy, who started uh, this one. So uh, they are all the entrepreneurs. They have proved that entrepreneurial. Say, we only see the entrepreneurial success, but we don't see the challenges behind those entrepreneurial journey. So, for an entrepreneur to be a complete entrepreneur, so he needs to have a complete understanding about the various aspects of entrepreneurial mm, journey. So uh, starting from so here see when we talk about hello, see here what we need to understand is what are the initiatives. So, for an entrepreneurial, for a complete growth of entrepreneurial venture, so various aspects need to be taken into consideration. So, entrepreneurship is all about uh, taking the risk, going through the journey, understanding the needs, the market needs. See, because an entrepreneur also have to have an understanding about the environmental aspect. The organization is surrounded by various environments. So we have economic environment, we have political environment, uh, uh, political environment, economic environment, social environment, cultural environment. So entrepreneurship is not a concept, so it is a philosophy to be lived by. So we have to take into consideration various other aspects related to the entrepreneur. So overall, we can say that this motivation is an important aspect for the successful entrepreneurial this thing. So and also the support from the government and all these aspects are also very important. To sum it up, I can say that these theories of motivation they have to be applied in the organization, improving the interpersonal relationship. So if the motivation fails, it is definitely going to be a challenge for the organization to survive. So organization has to take into consideration lot many aspects related to the motivation. So if you have any doubt, you can leave the comment uh, this thing. So I'll be definitely very happy to answer your doubts or questions, anything related to the topics that I have covered. I think we have come to the end of this session. Please have in mind, understand these concepts, understand the various theories of motivation, which will be also useful in your other areas of the subject. So have a thorough understanding about the different motivational theories, so which plays a very important role in the management. These are some of the important concepts I have tried to uh, cover. So I wish you all the best. So thank you for your patience listening uh, for this subject. So thank you. Thank you very much.